Hi friends, Cindy Lyon here. I wanted to show you a little project I've been working on here. I have been making some gift boxes for my grandkids for Easter. And these are what we call an explosion box because the sides of the box are not glued. Once you take the lid off, then the sides fall open and reveal what's inside the box, which I know it's kind of hard to show you with the overhead shot here, but hidden inside of this box is a chocolate bunny. And I know this is kind of last minute for Easter, but this is an idea that you could use for, other occasions as well. Maybe think ahead towards Mother's Day or some graduation gifts or some other events you might have coming up in the summer. And this one was made with some of our Hydrangea Haven paper that is in the January to June 2021 mini catalog. And the ribbon here is actually something that I've had for years. That's an old Stampin' Up! Retired ribbon. But anyway, just thought I'd show you what I've been working on, and now let me go ahead and give you the instructions of how to go ahead and make this. Okay, I misstated the name of this paper in my intro there. This is actually the Hydrangea Hill Designer Series paper that I'm using. Hydrangea Haven is the name of the coordinating stamp set. But I pre-cut all my pieces of Designer Series paper so you don't have to watch me do that in the video. I will put the measurements and cutting instructions in the comments for you. I primarily make these videos for my VIP Facebook group, so all the instructions can be found there. If you happen to be watching this video on YouTube, I will put a link in the comments under the YouTube video so that you can find the instructions. But okay, so we need to cut 4 pieces of cardstock to make the outer portion, or I should say the lower portion of the box. And then we'll cut and score a piece that we'll use for the top of the box. But starting with the bottom, we need to cut 2 pieces, and I'm using the Highland Heather cardstock here to coordinate with my Designer Series paper. But we're going to start out cutting 2 pieces at 2 1/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches. And now you can certainly leave that at the full 8 1/2 inches if you would like, and you'll just have a slightly taller box. I just wanted my finished box to be exactly 6 inches tall. So I'm going to cut 1/4 inch off of these pieces so that they'll be 8 1/4 instead of 8 1/2. And then we'll just discard those little bits. Okay, so we've got 2 pieces that are at 2 1/4 by 8 1/4. And then we also need 2 pieces that are 4 3/4 by 8 1/4, and then this is just a scrap we'll set aside for another project. And I'm going to cut that 1/4 inch off here. And then I'm going to grab a second sheet of cardstock here because I need 1 more piece at 4 3/4. Oops, I can get a hold of that there. And then I want that 8 1/4, so I'm going to cut 1/4 inch off of that 8 1/2 inch piece of cardstock. Okay, and let's go ahead and assemble the bottom of the box first before we start working on the lid. So now we're going to take these 4 pieces of cardstock we're going to score each of them 2 1/4 inches from one end. And then those pieces are going to form the bottom of our box. And again, 2 1/4 inches from the end. Set that paper cutter aside for a moment and we'll go ahead and assemble the bottom of the box. I'm going to fold and score, or fold and crease these at the score lines. Give that a good crease there with my bone folder. And now I'm going to take my 2 narrower pieces and I'm going to cut just a tiny little wedge off of that square. Remember, you're just cutting the square part. You're not cutting the other section. So just cutting a little wedge off of there to make it a little easier to assemble our box. Okay, so now how we're going to put that together, we're going to apply glue to these flaps that we just trimmed. And you can use tear and tape for this. I used tear and tape for the first one that I made, but then I realized it worked just as well with the liquid glue. You want a fairly sturdy adhesive. You could use this Stampin' Seal Plus. I probably wouldn't use the regular Stampin' Seal on this, but the liquid glue works really well. So now I'm going to just take that, line up my score lines there, and just double check and make sure I have it straight. And glue the other side. Press that glue down, double check and make sure I have it lined up. And now I'm going to take my other wider piece and apply some liquid glue here. And you see what we're doing here now is we're hiding those flaps in between these 2 layers. And another reason for using the liquid glue is it does give you a little bit of play so that you can slide that into position if you didn't get it perfect on the first try. So that is how we put together the lower portion of the box. And then you would just go ahead and glue your designer series paper here. And I'll just do that real quick and we will speed up the video so you don't have to watch that part. But before I start gluing, I just did want to point out that if you are using paper that has a definite direction to it, you want to make sure you're gluing it on right side up. So if I were gluing this piece over here, I'd want to make sure and turn it around because this will be the top and this will be the bottom when the box is sitting upright. So just wanted to caution you on that. For the most part, the direction isn't going to matter, but yeah, when you can see the stems there, you want to make sure you get that right side up. So, okay, let me go ahead and quickly glue all of this into position. Well, I had to pause my video there a second when I realized I was missing one of my pieces of patterned paper, so I went ahead and cut another one so I could finish this up. But you can see what I was saying about making sure that they're pointed the right direction when you glue them on so that they will be running right side up when you fold your box up. So we have the bottom portion done. We'll set that aside and go ahead and work on the lid. So for the lid of this box, we'll bring our paper cutter and scorer back over here. For the lid, we need a piece of cardstock that is 4 7/8 inches wide. Cut that at 4 7/8. And discard that scrap there. And then it needs to be 7 3/8. So let me fold the arm out on the side there. 7 3/8 inches long. And now we'll keep that cutting blade out of the way and we will score 1 1/4 inches on all 4 sides of this box lid. Okay, so we've got all 4 sides scored there. Move this out of our way again. And now I'll grab my paper snips. Hopefully you can see the score lines there. I'm going to take my paper snips and cut in on each corner here. And then also I'm going to take a little wedge out. And remember, you're always cutting just the square, not on the rectangle. So we're going to take a little wedge out of that square and go back to this first one here and take a little wedge out of there. And that'll just make it easier to fold and glue. And go over to the other side, do the same thing. So we have all 4 corners cut. Cut in towards the other score line. Take a little wedge. Into the other score line. And take a little wedge. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish each of those score lines there too. And now you'll want to glue your designer series paper on while the box lid is still flat before you start assembling. So let me go ahead and do that, and then through the magic of video, we'll speed through that for you. And again, I will have all those measurements. If you are viewing this video in the Greetings and Memories Lounge, the measurements will be in the comments. If you are viewing this video on YouTube, I will put a link to the Greetings and Memories Lounge in the comments so that you can find all of the cutting instructions there. Okay, so those are all glued into place. And you'll notice that I wasn't as fussy with the direction of the pattern on the lid. I figured with the smaller pieces, it's not going to be as noticeable. But so now I'm going to go ahead and apply glue to our little tabs here. And then fold those in and glue them into position. And just hold that for just a second there until that glue starts to grab well. And there is our lid. So now the reason why this is called the explosion box is because you want that to fall open when the lid is removed. But we'll just go ahead and put the lid on there, and that holds it in position there for you. Then you can see here how I did wrap some ribbon around to hold the box closed, and I made a little tag with my double oval punch to coordinate there. So yeah, what do you think of that? What would you put in there? Now, like I said, I have my little chocolate bunny. I'm going to put that in there for the grandkids for Easter celebration. But I'm thinking about what other things. Oh, maybe perfume. You could put a bottle of perfume in there. What might you put in there for maybe a bridal shower gift? If you've got some bridal showers coming this summer, you could put something in there for a Mother's Day gift. I don't know. But you let me know in the comments what you might use that for. But again, this is Cindy Lyon from Greetings and Memories. If you're interested in purchasing any of the supplies, any of that Hydrangea Hill Designer Series paper, the Highland Heather cardstock, or like I said, I used the double oval punch to make my tag there. You can find those items at cindylyon.stampinup.net. Thanks again for joining me.